Yep. So, let's go look at, I got a recent, letter from Job Corps, and it says the enrollment is on pause due to rising numbers of COVID-19. Like, I got officially accepted, but I never received any paperwork, right? I obviously have reservations about it, but I still want to get a higher paying job. You can't move up through Amazon, right? I work as a warehouse associate. That doesn't help me whatsoever, right? I lie on all the survey questions, I'll be honest, right? Workplace culture, everything. Because that's what you do when you work for a company. You show respect for the employer that pays you. And your job is to make the place better than when you found it. I don't understand, like, a lot of people. Like, when you work for a workplace, a lot of people don't seem to understand that about an employer. That's what they expect you to do. You're not supposed to tell the truth. Now, my honest opinion is probably the exact opposite, of course. But I used to think that was an obvious truth, right? You just work for an employer, you lie. What else are you supposed to do? I don't care. I'm here to do my job. Who cares, right? You're paid. You do what people tell you to do. Now, when it goes too far, which I'm seeing more of, right, where people are like, well, you need to teach me how to do this. Like, I already know how to do it, dude. Right? Or I'm going to write you up or something so I can make the workplace last longer. Now, when it goes too far, it's like, okay, well, now then you have to call people out sometimes. Now, when they know where the line is, where it's like, well, I just need the work hours to match, then it's fine. Everyone does that. I always thought that, but I think people have become less sane over the years. Through their years ago using Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, other social media forums, in my opinion, the wrong way, right? I don't use the internet much anymore, right? I just use Twitter because I thought about how to use the net. Like, so I was on hiatus for a couple years because I was like thinking to myself, you know, rather than using the net like everyone else, why don't I use it the right way? Right? Because you got to think about how to use technology when it comes out. You shouldn't just buy something because you can. You should think about how to use the net properly. Using the net properly means you think about how to use it productive in a way that helps the person selling the product make money, right? People shouldn't just buy tech immediately, because otherwise the next iteration of the product that comes out becomes more expensive, because you want to figure out how people don't fudge the financial spreadsheets, right? I'm not a straightforward thinker. You got to think about this, right? It helps when the customer thinks about it. There's ways to think about it in a manner in which that helps the person selling the product make more money in the long run. Because the way it's done now, where they just blindly consume, it doesn't help any company make more money in the long run. No, in fact, it makes them make less money, because each iteration becomes more expensive, because you want to do it in a way where the accountant doesn't take advantage of you, which is like they make the product pricier, because there's a lot of tricks people used to do back in the day. Ever wonder why the gold standard went away? It's because people always shorted the gold. They always lied about how much gold they had. So they play games where, like, well, each pound, they pretend like half a kilogram, right, is a pound of gold. They used to play these games, and then they get fool's gold, right? They added some artificial gold. It's not really real gold whatsoever. It's not real gold. And people play these tricks all the time with the phones, right? They just lie about the cost of the materials, right? That's why I'm always thinking about what I'm doing before I consume something. I used to not do that. I used to just blindly consume stuff. These days I do, because I think society is a lot more fake than it used to be. There's more fool's gold now these days, right? So yeah, I hope Job Corp's offering me something legitimate, right? I hope it's actually a real thing, right? So I can go get a different job that pays me 30 or 50, right? And that way I get what I want, right? Because there's nothing legitimate in any of the, for me anyways, in the job applicant, any of the ATS, the world of ATS, right? The world of cyberspace, right? There's nothing real. Ever heard of Mega Man Z? Just Mega Man Zero, yeah. There's the world of cyberspace is the world of job. You never want the world of cyberspace. That's the dangerous world. You ever play Mega Man Zero? Cyberspace is probably one of the most dangerous areas in the game. In the end, all the Guardians got killed, right? It's brutal reality. Cyberspace kills people. And metaphor in the real world, it's like, because the accountants and the actuaries lie so much about their spreadsheets, right? About the cost of the materials, the CEOs get bankrupt and shorted by the internet economy. Who make the internet? It's not just the prodigies that get killed, right? Because the prodigies don't tell the truth about how their financial operations work, because they got shorted too. So you got to be really careful. That's what Mega Man Zero, in my opinion, was a metaphor for. Now, the fourth game is there's a tech apocalypse where it's like all the companies got shorted because no one tells the truth about how their company functions. And everyone dies out. Yeah, everyone does die out. Like, you know, maybe they lied about how much it costs to make a Dell laptop. Right? Or how much it costs to make an, an Acer laptop, right? And they do that all the time. They're like, I guess we got nothing. Guess we're going to lay off some workers. It then goes too far. And then before you know it, the net's dead, right? That's called cyberspace. Right? And arguably, the public are the mavericks, right? Yeah, and the public's the mavericks because they're buying stuff, but the company's selling at a loss the whole time. I don't know if it makes sense or not. I don't know too much about schooling. I'm just using what I learned. I love to have a debate about this topic. No, I love to hear some debates. Hey, I'm a very clean accountant, right? I am totally not scamming Bill Gates once every Q2 quarterly earnings report, right? Once every four quarters, right? Whatever that means. No, you please. I love to hear some ethical companies, because there are no ethical companies. They don't exist. No one follows the GAAP accounting standards, truly. No one does, right? You feel you're shorted, aren't you? 100 grand a year to run a fortune? Oh, fuck that. No one's honest. No one's honest, right? And some CEOs who are reasonable, like, okay, I'll let you get away with it, right? But they have the honest conversation first, so they don't get away with it too much, right? That's why you lie about it, so you can justify it later. Yeah, ever heard of the Chinese cash game? This is how it's played. Yeah, this is how the Chinese cash game is played. Ever wonder why China gives billions of dollars to politicians? I'll tell you a little joke. That money is actually not theirs, it's actually the US. They're actually giving you fiat. That's why they purchase treasury backs for a reason. It's not actually always coming from China. Yeah, you can do that. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, because the money originally came from US cash. Because they can pilfer. You didn't know that? When you purchase enough treasury, people give you insider information. Oh, I know, right? I know. It goes all the way back down. Politicians used to make billions of dollars back then. In terms of resources. There's an argument now. Public started first. They don't want to pay politicians anything. There's always been that conflict. Remember the anti-federalist versus the federalist movement? It's been popular. It's a popular sentiment that they don't want to pay the government anything. From both sides. It's still popular. That conflict's still ongoing. You can tell with the Chinese Clash Foundation, the anti-federalists are still going strong. A lot of people anti-government. Progressives, conservatives, none of them say what they mean half the time. The wealthy ones, the ones that matter anyways. The poor ones just believe whatever, right? That's why when I blame society, I'm like, it doesn't mean anything, I'm just pretty vindictive in general. Because they always infight. Yeah, and people are like, you gotta make it nicer for people. What does that mean? Yes, you do have to follow some rules. At the same time, you want to know how rules are enforced? You have to learn how to have an argument with people to have rules enforced. Rules are basically a collection of arguments. If you can't understand that, don't even parent. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. Let's see if Job Corp gives you something. I'm going to do more commercial skits soon. Because I want to hire a paying job like everyone else who wants to work for it. Yeah, the whole point of the system is to scam the rich, right? Everyone understood that. It was a legal scam, right? They employ you, and the promise was, right, you get another... You're not supposed to run your own business. That was the promise, right? Because all economies all operate from a feedback loop. So you never stick with one job at one point. That's how the unemployment rate was always 0 in the past. Seriously. So the unemployment rate has a constant fixed percentage, and people were okay with that because no one wants to bump jobs. That's how they got rid of the system, right? When they introduced the Prussian school model, the whole purpose was so the public could get lazier. They called it brainwashing, but not really. They just wanted to short the employers, right? Think that the whole point of the term thinker is you're supposed to bounce between multiple jobs. That's how people did not get unemployed. Right? People, the whole lie was the common populace didn't benefit. The truth is they benefited quite a bit. Because no one wants to bounce between 5 different jobs. People knew how to lie about it. Right? That's kind of how the system worked. Now, I assume people knew this already, right? They didn't actually believe it. Right? Because a lot of people just lie that, oh, your hair sucks, right? You got choppy hair. They actually believe what they mean. I'm like, are people this disabled? I'm going to go call people out next time. I don't have any other reason to live at this point. I can't go move out of the house. I can't do anything. I'm just going to call people out. If people like, go quiet your voice down, that's fine. But if people say something else, like, and they keep doing that even though my voice is lower and they don't actually have a one-on-one conversation, I'll just call them out. Hey, man, you might as well talk about me being fat at this point. Let's have a dialogue. You deserve it. People who heckle me in the Outer Mall want to call me out, you deserve it. I'll call you out. Yeah. Might as well call me fatter. Might as well criticize my clothing choice, right? Because you're not having a useful feedback conversation. Right? I follow your criticism of tone it down. Now you need to be serious. And because I follow your feedback, now you need to have a legitimate conversation. Doesn't matter whether I did it wrong or right. You need to come here and have a legitimate conversation with me. Because that's how social rules are enforced. Otherwise, go away, dude. Doesn't matter what your opinion is. If you're not willing to stand up with me and have a chat with me, don't bother. You're not worthy of respect on your side either. Right? If you want to criticize my clothing choice, please talk to me about this. Otherwise, go visit a psychologist because you need one. Because there's no one wants someone who's not willing to carry water, right? Right? Otherwise, you're just worthless. Right? In my opinion, you're just worth $0 to an employer. Forget how you went through school. If you're not willing to follow social rules, the social fabric of society collapses. Period. Eventually. Because all you do, if you ever played Spore and studied the genetics of like natural selection, society will keep copying that behavior because people can get away with it. So in the long run, that causes societal collapse. Because then what it does is it encourages behavior of people sneaking through the ATS job tracking system. Right, that kind of behavior encourages businesses to collapse. And then who's going to give you a job, right? Everything's interconnected. Right? I'm just telling you. It's just like and the thing is, what happens is then they push the job of being a parent to the people who pay you. That's all ends up happening. That's what happens if you don't enforce social rules. And everyone keeps being lazier, right? They enforce less and less rules. So eventually, the guy who hires you is the one who's the actual parent by default. I'm telling you, that's what happens by de facto. If you put all emphasis on schools, it's going to be the employer that takes the role responsibility of everything. That's not what they asked for, but that's what happens. Yeah, if you don't parent, if you keep saying, if anyone who says, hey, look, right? Hey, look, you'll learn when you're older. You're just making the employer your parent, your child's parent. It's not you, okay? And your employer just kicks you in the shin. And you learn by getting kicked in the shin enough times. Right? If you're not willing to provide adequate military training to people, which parents don't do. Because ever seen a military hire an applicant, they just look untrained, right? You can approve their parenting style, but it's still their fault. Right? You don't even deny that part. Yeah. I'm just telling you, everything is a fixed supply chain. This is why I don't participate in politics. Everything starts from the most single basic unit all the way to a collection, to a large, squadron, right? Everything, ever heard of Star Wars, Armathon? Everything you have, when you trying to calculate how to win a battle, everything starts with the most basic unit. If you have a really low quality, poorly made AT fighter, then your entire army collapses, right? If they're all produced that way. Right? I'm talking about parenting. Yeah, this is one of those things you're just going to have to understand on your own. I do not care. I just want my job, and I just want to leave. You want me to be quiet, you pay me with a higher job. That's how society pays people like me off. Yeah, and then I'd be quiet. Yeah, people do monkey tricks like this all the time. Yeah, it's just what it is. Anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens. I end this podcast here.